my name is Benjamin Scout. I'm the county agent in Washington County for Utah State University Extension. We're going to be going over drip systems today, and specifically drip tape. We're in Hurricane, so we're in southern Utah, and just in one of the greenhouses that we're doing some research projects in. We've had a lot of questions from backyard growers on how to install a drip tape system. In southern Utah, we're always worried about being in a drought, or we're always in one, we feel like, so we've utilized drip systems for quite some time. Drip tape is one that's gone underutilized for quite a while. It has a lot of benefits to it, and it's really easy and simple to install. There's just a couple things you have to keep in mind when you're switching to that system. We use this system for gardening, for root crops quite a bit, for tomatoes and peppers. If you're going to plant anything in a black plastic mulch, usually you'll run drip tape underneath the black plastic just as a water distribution means. In drip systems, there's a lot of different methods that people have used to get water to different places. In drip systems, the backbone to everything is the tubing. So this is 1/2-inch tubing. You'll see this in landscapes all over the place. This is just how you get water from either your timers or your hose bib or whatever to the location that you want water to be distributed to. From there, from this black tubing, there's no way to get water out unless you attach something to it. So typically, most people are familiar with emitters. So this is a simple flag emitter. It has a sharp end that you'd have your main water line that would run like close to a tree or even a tomato plant. You could use these in, and then you would just simply poke it into that, and this regulates the water output. This one's 2 gallons per hour, so it's a pretty slow trickle. These ones are also nice because you can take out the center if they get plugged, and you can clean them out. Drip tape works similarly to that one, where you have a fitting that has the same kind of a little barb that we would push into, use this. So you have your poker, you would poke into your black plastic, it makes a hole. Then you'd poke the fitting that's required for drip tape. How these ones work, that barb's gonna poke into here, into this black tubing. You'll slide the drip tape on here, and then it has a swivel fitting that you twist, and it clamps on and it holds that drip tape. It compresses it to where it doesn't leak. And then the drip tape is what distributes to the water, and it actually leaks out of the drip tape. What drip tape looks like, here's just an example. You can tell it's perfectly flat when it's not inflated with water. And it's just a hollow, really thin-walled tube that has built-in emitters every so many inches. Depending on which one you buy, this one is 6 inches, so there's an emitter here, there's an emitter here. There's other ones that are 12 inches, 18 inches, I think you can get 24 inches, just depending on what you're growing. So for row crops, if I was gonna plant beets or carrots, I really like the 6-inch because it lets water out. You can get a really even bar of water all the way across this drip tape. But for tomatoes, I usually use 18-inch or even 12-inch works all right. Just depends what you're planting. So you can change the drip tape and you can customize it towards whatever you're planting. But how it will work is water will flow into here through that swivel fitting. So we'll go back to our example. So you'll just open it up, kind of wiggle it onto that fitting the best you can, and then you're going to clamp that on, and then it's pretty much on there and it doesn't leak. On the opposite end, so it is just an open tube, got a little bit of mud on this one, but so what we're going to do on the other end, same idea, same type of swivel fitting, it's just plugged on the end. So we're going to plug it. So you do the same thing, you wiggle it on, swivel the fitting to clamp it and close it. And then it's tight and taut. That way when water gets in there, it inflates, pressurizes, and it'll start letting water out of these holes. These ones are a lower, I guess, rate compared to these. We mentioned this is 2 gallons per hour. These is more like 0.38, I think is what this one's rated at. So I'll usually let this run for at least an hour in my garden when I do water. But that's the idea. One of the things that you do have to keep in mind, this is probably the most important thing with drip tape, is they can only handle so much pressure. So with the PSI rating for these, they can go up to about 10 PSI. Once you start getting above 15, that's when these will start to pop. It is really thin walled, so you do have to limit the pressure. There's a couple ways you can do that. You can use a pressure reducer, which is the costlier way to do it. Those are what we use on like a residential situation. That's what the water going into your house is usually at like 100 plus PSI, and we reduce that down to be about 60 PSI. So we have to use a pressure regulator. They cost about $100 to regulate the pressure. Or you can use, let's see, a pressure regulator, and this regulates the pressure. So these are pretty inexpensive. This one's rated for 10 PSI, so I'd actually use that for this system. But it regulates it down to 10 PSI as long as water's flowing through it. If you open your valve up all the way, so just a bunch of water's going through it, the water can back up and the pressure can build, and it can increase the pressure. So if you can open your hose bib or your hydrant just halfway, just so water's always flowing, it will always regulate it down to 10 PSI and you're good to go with these systems. That's the biggest problem with drip tape. Otherwise, the drip tape usually lasts all season long. You can use it in your gardens, flower beds, and a lot of different applications for drip tape. It's also very inexpensive. The alternative to drip tape, one that lasts a lot longer but it's more expensive, is what they call drip tubing. One more example. It's usually brown, but you can see there's a hole every, I think this one's about 8 inches. There's a weeping hole. It does the exact same thing, but this is a really hard plastic. It's pretty much the same diameter, same build as this regular main line would be. These are going to last you a very, very long time. They'll usually put these around permanent trees and residential landscape. It's also it's a lot more expensive. But this is an alternative to that and a more permanent structure. If you have something that you don't want to ever replace, drip tubing is the way to go. So some application settings. So we brought you to the greenhouse for a reason too. So if you go and look through our greenhouse, we have raised beds. We also have an in-ground garden that we've installed. It's January, so there's not a ton growing. We have some garlic that's popping up and some different things, but we've put into the raised beds, we have some drip tape that we've put in here. So everywhere there's a drip tape, we're going to have a row of something coming up. So it might be a row of beets or carrots. Over here it's garlic. This bed we've actually planted some bulbs that are going to come up later. But I just wanted to show you how, kind of the same thing, how we install it. We've cut this to length. We measured the beds. We cut it so this drip tape is going to fit inside there. And then we're going to wiggle it onto that fitting. And we'll clamp it on, put it in place, and then we just basically turn the system on, keeping in mind you have a pressure regulator on that to keep it lower, or pressure reducer, whichever option you want to go with. A couple other options as well, just to keep in mind with a drip system. This is my favorite part with drip systems, is you can automate it. There's different ways you can do it. So this is a timer that fits onto your hose bib or your hydrant, whatever application you have. It works just like a sprinkler box or sprinkler timer. This one has 2 stations. So this third one is an option. You can have a hose on there so you can turn it on or off. And these 2 are on a timer. They also have sprinkler timers, actual ones that will fit in the ground. It's an inline timer that you can hook on, and they adapt to a drip tubing, this 1/2-inch black tubing, and you can run them off that. But you can automate your system, which works really well if you're busy like me. Sometimes I can't check my garden every single day and water it every other day. So a timer really comes in handy, but these systems you can plug right onto a some kind of a timer, which is super handy and super helpful. For drip systems, if you're using culinary, usually you don't have a problem with things getting into your system and plugging those small orifices that we have in those emitters. It's also a good idea to put in a screen or a filter, just as good practice if you're using anything at secondary. You can also do culinary. I've always caught just some little tiny pieces of dirt that come through those, but usually it's not too big of a problem with culinary. So we're going to turn on our system next so you can see how they inflate, how they work, where they let the water out. Again, we usually let these run for about an hour. It puts a nice band of water about 2 inches on each side of the drip line. So it'll be about 2 inches each side, all the way down. So we plant our seeds right next to that. The seeds have always done really well. Everything usually comes up. We have a good germination rate. That's the idea of drip tape, is it's a great water distribution system, and it works really well in the garden.